Oh, the Democrats have a good idea. That's not a joke. It's called the Raise the Wage Act, and it raises the US minimum wage to $15 an hour over 4 years, one of the highest in the world, while also abolishing substandard minimum wages such as the tipped minimum wage for employees and those for youths and the mentally handicapped, before wrapping it up in a big bow by tying it to inflation. However, never let it be said the Democrats let the perfect be the enemy of the good. With a few key changes and tune-ups, this bill could be world-class. Let's start off with the 15 and the $15 minimum wage. The official Fight for 15 organization started back in 2012. $15 back then is equivalent to $17 today and is expected to be equal to $19 in 2025, when this bill will fully phase in. It would still be the highest the federal minimum wage has ever been, but you can't exactly say mission accomplished. So to solve this, I have a simple suggestion. Keep the increases going until 2030, so the minimum wage hits $22.25, a number I've always liked the ring to personally, and it's also equivalent to $15 in 2012 money, and then leave it to go up with inflation. I know at this point some of you are expecting me to say how inflation isn't enough, and we actually need to tie the minimum wage to productivity, but I don't think it should be. The purpose of the minimum wage is to set a floor, with further compensation being a reward. This floor should allow you to afford everything you need to live comfortably, hence the term living wage. Not to mention the existing proposal ties the annual post-$15 increases to the median wage, not just inflation, so we'll see a slow but steady increase in the minimum wage, especially in a scenario where we strengthen unions increasing wages industry-wide. And also, because if the goal of socialism is to eliminate the market from most aspects of life, we can't be tying people's lives and livelihoods to the suicidal drive for eternal and increasing economic growth, which will only further tie social policies to the market rather than removing them. As such, I have an alternative means of calculation. While keeping the adjustment for inflation, we actually define what counts as a living wage. For this, I'm going to use the culturally accepted definition that was used until the 80s, the one that was also used when the minimum wage was created. A single income earner in a 4-person household who spends less than 30% of their income on rent or mortgage. Honestly, pretty simple. So, to make sure the minimum wage matches this, we'll apply 4 rules. Rule 1. The minimum wage cannot be decreased without an act of Congress. This is to prevent the wage being decreased due to weirdness with inflation or drop in cost of living. Rule 2. The minimum wage must be higher than the federal poverty line for a family of 4 in the lower 48 states. Thus, the minimum wage will be large enough to support a family of 4. Rule 3. The minimum wage must be more than 330% the median national fair market rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in the lower 48 states. A 2-bedroom apartment, while the bare minimum for housing for a family of 4, is just that, the bare minimum for a family of 4. Rule 4. The minimum wage must be more than 400% the annual USDA low-cost food plan for a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 kids between the ages of 6 and 13. If these were implemented tomorrow, the minimum wage would jump to roughly $22.25 an hour. See why I like that number? This sudden change to the minimum wage would cause a bit of a shock to the system, so there would probably need to be a phase-in. But in the long term, the increased spending and consumption that will come from it would more than make up for any potential short-term losses. So, to recap, to improve the Raise the Wage Act, we need to keep the wage increasing until it hits $22.25 by 2030, and we need to create rules defining what a living wage is. Well, that's all I wrote. So if you liked the video, drop a like and a comment down below. Feel free to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted when new content is released. And if you want to hear more from me outside of YouTube, I have a Twitter, @OneManThinkTan1, the Roman numeral, link in the description below, as well as the sources I used for this video. Otherwise, as always, and most importantly, have a wonderful day.